Welcome or welcome back if you are new here. On this channel, I talk about God, I talk about faith, I talk about all that God has brought me through, bringing me through, and how I am certain that He can do the same for you. This is Faith Talks TV. Welcome. I am Erica. A lot of times, people try to discourage you from things that will be of help to you. In no way, shape, or form is this video trying to advise or encourage others to go out and do things you know that will not be beneficial to you. One of the things that I remembered when I only had two children is I wanted to go on welfare. And I remembered bringing it up to someone because I was struggling because of the difficulties of rearing two small children because they're literally like 2 years apart. And I had to bring them to daycare. I had to work. It was hard to keep a job because my children, if you have young kids, you know that they have a tendency, they have a weak immune system. So they get sick very quickly, almost always, right? I at times wasn't able to apply for EI because it's like I would get fired because of the amount of days that I was late or away because again, with the responsibility of having two small children, not really having help, and the help that I did have or would have, they had other things to do too. So I had to schedule my time around theirs. And having children, I'm realizing that you have to schedule your time around them unless you kind of have family that's able, or if you have a community of people that's able to say no worries, I'll watch your children, or but why would you want to have those people all the time watching your kids? You want to be present with them as well, right? And one of the things that I've come to realize, but I'm now realizing it more strongly now, is that once you're a single parent, you have to be the responsible parent because that other parent chooses to be an absentee. I'm not saying if they, tragically something tragic happened, then that's different. But if the person is living healthy and well, then they choose to be the absentee or not share that responsibility equally where hey, I'll have the child, I'll pick the communication where you're amicable, where you can resolve things together, and you wish you'd have that individual to be strong, to be mature, and to help with the upbringing of the child or the said children, right? But 90% of the time, that's not the situation. You now realize, or I'm realizing, that once you choose to be the responsible parent, every single thing falls on you, and your time is. I was given up for adoption at a young age, and I didn't really have people in my life that were constant. But one of the things that I learned is that I want to be there for my children, whatever it takes. If I have to eat beans and rice or whatever, just to be sure that I am there for my children. Because one of the things that I said that I didn't want my children saying is, oh, you're never home, or you were never there for me, right? So that's one of the things that I told myself. Not to say that, oh, I'm just sitting on my rare air, because one of the things I'm like, I'm home, so let me make videos. Let me hopefully try to encourage somebody and say, hey, you know what? God is going to see you through this. You're not a failure. There's hope. I do that because I do believe that. And the more I speak it, is the more I'm a firm believer that God really is with us. Because He is. Being a responsible parent at times, it really does mean that you're going to have to make the best with what you have. I remembered when I had my two kids at the time, they were younger. I remember I'd spoken to someone in the church, and I'm like, you know what, I'm having difficulties trying to find a job, so I think I'm going to go on welfare. And they literally discouraged me, don't go on welfare, oh, God will provide, which they are right. But who is to say that God will provide doesn't mean that He provided for welfare to be there? Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just be on welfare and not try and secure a part-time job, or not try to get school in, or not trying to do something where you're bringing in some form of income. But don't look at welfare as, oh, this is all I'm going to do until my kids reach 15 or can do things on their own. Look at welfare as, right now I'm in a jam, but I have a plan. Right now, my circumstance might not be the best, but here is my plan. I plan to do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z, because I believe welfare is able to help meet the needs of like daycare. So they provide a subsidized daycare, provide certain other programs too. They can even help with transportation if you need funds for a bus and what have you. I looked at welfare as a bad thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying if you're able bodied and you have a job, quit your job and go on welfare. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you know that you have done everything in your power and the only thing that's making sense to you right now is for you to go on welfare. For instance, if you can't afford to provide full-time daycare for to have somebody to watch your kids, say from the time they go to school. So to have somebody to say, for instance, you have to start work at 9 o'clock. If you're able to have that support from welfare, where maybe they call it like government help, if they're able to help you for early drop offs and late pickups, what that means, I'm probably sure you know. So if school starts at 8:30, you have that flexibility where you can drop your child off at 7:30 to make it to work for 8. So that way you don't have to have the stress of rushing. Or if school ends at 3:30, you can have that ability to say, oh, I have them in after school program because the welfare office is helping me pay for that subsidized program. So instead of rushing through traffic, having to get that child from school at 3 o'clock, you know that because they welfare provides like after school support, so that way from school they can go to that program. So that will give you a little bit more time to maybe put in an extra hour at work, and then so you can go pick up your child, so that things are a little bit more flexible for you. So that's what I mean. So when people are saying don't go on welfare, God will provide. How do you know that welfare isn't God's way right now of saying, listen, this is going to be a benefit for you? Okay. This is the help that is available to you. You know, I was listening to this story, and I think it's in the happy the pursuit to happiness with Will Smith. And the little boy, his son, was telling a story. His little guy at the time was telling a story, and it was more like a joke. And what it was about this man, and he was on the rooftop. There was a flood, okay, and he was on his roof. His roof is sinking because the flood is so high, and it got so high that he had to climb on top of his roof, and he's there asking God, God help me. And then God sent him a boat, I believe, and he's like, no, God is going to help me. God sent him a ship, and he's like, no, God's going to help me. Last they sent a helicopter, came and said, hey, come, let's help you, just as the other two help that he received. And this was the third one. He's like, no, God's going to come help me. He died, went to heaven, and was like, God, why didn't you come save me? And he's like, are you dumb? I sent you a boat, a ship, and a helicopter, and you didn't take any of them. You think I'm going to put my hand down physically so you can see and pick you up? You'll already have a heart attack. That's why I sent you help, right? The moral of the story, what I'm trying to get at, is that there are times that we might not like certain things that are implemented, but if it's help, and you know you're not going to be on that thing for 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 9 years, however the long time is, you're just doing it to say, okay, you know what? I want to go to school between this time and that time. And if I don't have the help, somebody to help me put daycare in place, then there's no way that I'm going to be able to do go to school. I know they have school online, but sometimes it's free, and it's a good thing to kind of like, you know what I mean, have that support where you can have that child in daycare because you have that your city provides some sort of funding to help you. So why not accept that? So that way you can have maybe a half an hour to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't have to drop your child to daycare for from Monday to Friday, but at least you can be like, okay, you know what? Tuesdays and Thursdays or 2 days of the week, I'm going to use this program to do that, just so that my mental state, I can mentally cope, so that way I can know how to have the ability to study, so that way I won't be distracted, so I can put that time to study in. Because mentally, if that baby is constantly crying and you have no one to help you, it gets stressful. It gets challenging. So whoever say don't take the help when you see the help, if it means that you have to go get funding from the system that's in place, I'm not saying go do it and take advantage of it in terms of ruin it for the next person, but I'm saying accept that help and let it be a stepping stone to help you to get to where you need to get to, because sometimes that is God's way of helping you. Listen, I know a lot of you might not agree with me, but listen, if I'm ever in that situation where I'm like, okay, God, right now I don't have a job. So I need to pay my bills. What am I going to do? Sit there and let bill after bill piling up, and not go and seek help? Hmm? The word of God says, in all your ways acknowledge me and I'll direct you. How do you know that God isn't providing that help so you can receive that help to pay your bills? Do you think God wants you to be stressed out? I understand a lot of people are like, oh, God will provide. Like, what do you expect? That the money's going to fall from the sky? No. Sometimes God's way of providing is of making available resources through the system to help you. And that is just what I believe. You might not agree with me, but that's what I believe. If you've done everything that you can and you know you have a plan, like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but I just need a little bit of extra help. I just need extra this, and my family and friends of my resources have run out. So I'm going to go seek the help that's in the community, and that means going on welfare. Why not do that? You see, it's interesting because that same person back then that told me don't go on welfare, that person, we just had the one conversation and we were never in talk communication again. That person is not there to help. So these people that are telling you not to take help from the resources that's available to you, let me ask you this. Are they going to help you then? That $500 that you need to pay X, Y, and Z, pay off your bills, are they going to lend you the money? Are they going to give you the money? If they're going to give you the money and you don't have to pay it back, then okay, by all means, don't go look for the help that's available to you in the community, right? But sometimes I just feel that people tell you not to do something, but those people that are telling you not to do something that will better you and your children, they're nowhere to be found. If they're not going through the same struggles as you, they don't have a child. They have their family, they have a job, they're working, they're okay, they have a house, they are paying their bills, and they have a job. They don't have any sort of like extra responsibility when it comes to taking care of a child or what have you, to go pick them up and have the struggles as a single parent. They're okay. So why are you listening to individuals that are not going through the same thing as you? Let them encourage you, but know within yourself that, yo, listen, God made this available for me, and this is the only help that I can get. And by the way, if you are getting help from welfare, don't feel discouraged. Don't feel as if, God, you've forgotten me. God, you've forsaken me, because a lot of countries don't provide certain support that we have. So if you and I are in a situation where we need funds in terms of daycare, in terms of a food bank or what have you, take advantage of those things, because that is God's way of showing you that, listen, I am sending you help. And it might not be in a path that you want to take, but hey, just do it for now, because you're going to be okay. Just know that you're not going to stay in that same situation for a long duration of time. Just know that it's going to be for 2 months, 3 months. It's not going to be for the rest of your life. Sometimes you have to go a certain route that you don't want to take, as long as it's not putting yourself in danger, your children in danger, or other people in danger, but it's help that is available to you. So why not accept that? Why not go to the food bank? You're gonna sit there and watch your kids starve? You're gonna sit there and be hungry when you know that a food bank is available to you? Listen, don't let pride cause you to miss out on what God is doing. Sometimes God just wants to humble us. Sometimes he's like, but the word of God says, by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. You don't know if you applying for welfare, say for instance, you don't know if you applying to go to that food bank. You don't know if, say for instance, they book your appointment and they're like, okay, we're booking your appointment for a week from now. You don't know what God can do within that span of a week. Maybe God is just testing you to see, okay, will you apply for the food bank? Will you apply for welfare? And he's testing you to see, next thing you know, somebody you don't even know send you a check. God work in ways that we will never be able to understand or fathom. And what I'm saying is, take advantage of the help in your community that's available to you. All right. God bless you. Thanks so much for watching. God willing, you will stop by for my next video. Until then, take care. Bye.